All right, let's not overthink this one. This is my y equals mx plus b. What's my m? It's right there. It's -5. What's my b? It's right there. It's 16. Don't overthink that one. Find the y-intercept of this equation. Okay, here's what I picture in my head. Is I picture a line, and here's the y-intercept. And what do I know about this point? Like, I don't have any tick marks, so this could be 0, 1, it could be 0, 2, it could be 0, 3, it could be 0, 100, right? But what I know is that it's going to be 0 and a number. Because on the y-axis, whether the y-intercept is there or it's down here, that x value is always going to be 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a 0 here. And I realize, oh, the x is going to have to be 0. So I can just go ahead and plug that 0 in, right? And then 6 times 0 is 0, so then I can just solve this equation. I'm dividing by -5, and I get y equals -2. Find the slope of the line that goes between -4, 2 and 1, -5. You'll be provided with the slope formula on the final exam, so this is not something you need to memorize, but one thing I highly recommend you do is write down the points off the screen and label them x1, y1, x2, y2. That way, when you go to plug in, it's really easy. y2, -5. Minus y1, 2. x2, 1, minus x1, -4. This becomes -5 minus 2, that's -7. This double negative becomes a plus sign, and that becomes 1 plus 4. Over here, how many solutions do each of these graphs show? Each image has 2 lines. Okay, so here are my choices. Now remember, when I am graphing a system and I'm trying to solve it, the solution is where the 2 lines meet. So what I want to know is how many times do the lines meet? So here, I'm like, oh, where do these lines meet? Oh, right here, at this one spot, right? This is one solution. Where do these lines meet? Oh, these lines never meet. They're going to go on forever and ever, and they're going to be parallel, and they're never going to meet. This is no solution. And here, when I look at this, I'm like, oh, there's only one line. But look, this tells me each image has 2 lines. You know what that must mean? It must mean there's a line, and there's another line right on top of it. Those are 2 lines sitting right on top of each other. You know where they meet? They meet here and 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 here forever and ever and ever. So that's called infinite solutions. All right. There's 2 rules we have to remember about solving. One is that I flip the sign if I divide by a negative, and the other is that the x has to land on the left, which I notice it already is here. Okay, then let's talk about the graphing rules when we get there. So here you have 2 choices. You could distribute first, which is what most of you are more comfortable doing and what I'll do. You could also just divide by -5 right off the bat. That's another option, but let's do this because this is what I observe most of you doing. -5 times -7 is positive 35. Don't miss that. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. I'm trying to get x by itself because I am solving, right? That's what we do when we solve. And we get x by itself. Don't miss the negative coming down. I'm dividing by -10. If I divide by -10 on this side, I have to divide on -10 on this side as well. Oh, let me write this neater because look what I did. I kind of wrote the division sign and the negative sign, and I lost the negative sign. We don't want that. Okay, so a couple things are going to happen here. First of all, I'm going to do this math. Positive divided by negative is negative. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Here, see how I divided by a negative sign? That's where this is going to switch. Okay, so I switch the sign. Now I have to ask myself 2 questions to graph it. Open or closed? Okay, now if there's no line underneath, it's open. Right? And if there's a line underneath, it's closed. Like, I'm just going to draw this so kind of remind you. So here, there's no line underneath. It's going to be an open circle. I'm going to put an open circle at -1. And the next question I have to ask myself is, which way do I shade? Left or right? And basically, you kind of just shade the way the arrow is pointing. Left or shade. That is not what I meant to write. Left or right. There we go. So, right, if the arrow is pointing this way, we shade to the left. That's a less than sign. We're going to shade all the numbers that are less than. If the arrow is pointing this way, we shade to the right. That's a greater than sign. We want all the numbers greater than -1. So in this case, it looks like this. Graph the system. I have 2 equations in slope-intercept form, but I will tell you both of these is like a little bit tricky. Okay, but I'm starting at the y-intercept. And the rise over run is 3 over 2. So I go up 3 and over 2, and I'm out of space. In my mind, I'm kind of like sketching the graph. I kind of see where it goes, right? But I realize I don't have space to go up 3, right 2. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go down 3 and left 2. Okay, so there's my first line. Okay, and now here I have y equals -1/2 x, but I'm missing my plus b. So I'm just going to fill it in. That is plus 0. So I'm going to start at 0. And then my slope is negative 1 over 2. So look, I'm going to put the negative on top like this. Notice the bottom now is positive, right? I just assigned the negative to one side. So I'm going to go down 1, right 2. Okay, so that line looks like this. And the solution is where they meet, which is right here at negative 2, 1. And our final problem of the day. Jesus is running for school board. He calls 45 random people and asks if they are planning to vote for him. 27 say yes. Approximately how many of the 2,430 people registered for the election will vote for him? This seems like a part over whole equals part over whole situation. So let's set it up. Look, I'm going to write part over whole equals part over whole. Okay, so there's two things that are happening here, right? He asked 45 random people. So that's like the whole group of people that he asked, and the part that said yes was 27. So 27 out of 45 people are going to vote for him. Now, here are all the people that are registered to vote, and we want to know how many are going to vote for him. Okay, so when we set this up, we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 45 times x equals 27 times 2,430. Okay, so this is just a situation where you're going to very carefully enter things into your calculator and not rush through that because that is a recipe for disaster. Okay, so I get 65,610. If I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't write down this number, but I'm just doing it so you can see all the steps. But look, I entered in 27 times 2,430, and now I'm going to divide by 45. And notice I didn't re-enter this number. I just pressed divide on my calculator, and I get x equals 1,458. So that's 1,458 people are going to vote for him. All right, that's it.